So not a single South African team will compete in the inaugural Champions and Challenge Cups. All four sides refocus in the Vodacom United Rugby Championship, where the scramble for playoff places resumes this week. Well, to unpack this, I'm now joined by senior sports journalist Michael Vlismas. Good evening, Michael. Lovely to speak to you tonight. The biggest losers of the past weekend get to redeem themselves in the URC. How quickly should they move on from the Champions Cup disappointment?
I think there might be a sigh of relief because it's been fighting on all fronts at the moment for the South African teams and certainly getting back to just focusing on the Vodacom United Rugby Championship and that push for the playoffs might be a silent relief to be able to just have that one competition to now focus all the efforts on. It takes a lot to fit in the Champions Cup as well, and I think there's been a lot of learning certainly from a travel point of perspective, but yes, there's going to be less flights going forward now, and certainly a lot more focus that can be placed on with 2 rounds left to in that push for the playoffs.
Having said that, Michael, going forward ahead of European Rugby Season 2, if I can call it that, what do the SA franchises need to change in terms of squads for multiple competitions, logistical issues, as you mentioned, and adapting to foreign conditions that will make them a #1 contender in the future?
Well, you mentioned the word there, squad, and squad depth is what is just coming through over and over and over again. It's the correct management of your squads. It's the resting of key players at certain times. It's the rotation within your squad, and that's not an easy thing to do. Leinster have proved themselves very adept at it, and they have probably 3 squads that they can rotate very comfortably. We're going to get a taste of that when they come down now for the double headers in the competition up against the Vodacom Bulls and the Emirates Lions. So it really is, squad depth is critical, and the South African teams will learn, make no mistake. They have, when the South African teams entered this competition, there was a lot made about the different conditions up north and the different refereeing standards and styles. And if you'll remember, it did take the teams a while to find their feet. They learned that pretty quickly and became very competitive very quickly in the first season. They're going to learn how to manage the logistics. It certainly will. There'll be a lot of learnings out of this, but that's going to be key. The time zones are favorable. The travel is a lot more favorable. It can certainly be refined and be done better from an SA rugby perspective and a South African rugby perspective, but they will get it right. They will certainly get it right, and I think they are showing already. You're looking at the likes of the Stormers, that are the Sharks, already showing that they can be competitive overseas. It's just that squad depth is going to be more and more important going forward.
All right, now to URC qualifications with 2 rounds to go. The Stormers are in second place on the overall log with 61 points. Leaders Leinster on 74 and Ulster in third on 59. Leinster have shown their ambition in the past to win the URC, but will their quest produce good fruit? Michael?
Well, I had a wonderful interview with head coach Leo Cullen yesterday, a long chat with him. And they cannot wait to come out here. He's a student of the game. He's passionate about the game, and is a great fan of South Africa and South African rugby. He's been watching, grew up watching Currie Cup, he said, and certainly the early days of Super Rugby. They really can't wait to come out here. I don't think anybody's expecting their top squad to be coming out. They've shown that they're going to focus on their Champions Cup push there. It hurt them last year, so they want to definitely go all the way there. But they're well aware that the Vodacom Bulls knocked them out in the semi-finals last year. So they're coming here with a lot of respect for what they're going to face. So yes, and they also he spoke at length about, even at their level, that week in and week out, picking key players. He mentioned to the South African teams last year, if you think the VURC is a travel challenge, wait till you get into the Champions Cup. It's big game upon big game upon big game. So yeah, but I think they will certainly bring it, and they are a world-class team, and they've shown they have the depth. And the last time they came out here with what was a second string team, they said, they ran the two South African teams very, very close. So I think it's going to be a great display of rugby with these double headers coming up.
In closing, Michael, it's a Rugby World Cup year. Who are the deserving URC players to make the Springbok 45-man squad that are heading to France when Jacques Nienaber will make the final call?
I'm going to leave that one to Jacques Nienaber. That is a very tricky decision. You know, there is a lot of depth in South African rugby, and also, you know, just interestingly enough, had a chat with Richard Creel, and he's coming out with Zebra, and you know, he didn't get much game time when he played in South Africa, and he's gone over now to play for Zebra, and he's playing week in and week out, learning so much over there. But even he was also saying it's astounding for him, the depth in South African players that you have playing overseas, not even playing in South Africa. So I think that's one for Jacques and Rossi to sort out. They seem to have done a pretty good job of it so far. So I definitely think I'll leave that one to them.
Michael Vlismas, thank you for your time. Always great to talk to you. That's a senior rugby journalist, just ahead of the resumption of the United Rugby Championship this weekend. Of course, the Sharks starting off on Friday when they host Benetton at the Shark Tank before the Bulls, of course, will have a match, and the Lions as well in that double header, as Michael did mention.